Welcome to a special episode of Shotcallers, and I'm here with my friend Sean Kelly. Sean, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
I'm very excited. I've been doing a little bit of research about all this serial entrepreneurship that you've done. But let's start a little bit about with your past and how you got into entrepreneurship in the first place.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I think I got it from my dad. He was an entrepreneur on the side. He had a 9-to-5 job, but he used to sell books on Amazon.
Okay.
So we would go to book sales, we'd go to dumpsters, and he had such an eye for books. Dude, he could spot any book and know how much it was worth.
Wow.
It was crazy. Like, I'd be in the dumpster just throwing books out, and he'd be like, oh, that's $27.
Wow.
So, yeah, he would sell it on eBay and Amazon. I would help him pack it and ship it, and I think that inspired me. Seeing how happy he was with entrepreneurship really motivated me.
And that sets up a tone, too, of what we have, the opportunities that we have today, really, right? I mean, just if you think about, there's a lot of people out there who make some excuses about not having opportunities, not being able to make money, but talking with your dad doing that with Amazon books and starting to make a good side hustle and teaching you entrepreneurship, there's really a lot of opportunities like that today that are even 10 times easier because of digital technology, don't you think?
Yeah, back then you needed way more skill for sure, because this was before you could just look up the price.
Yeah.
But then these scanners came out that would identify the price like a couple years into it, and that kind of eradicated that business because it became so easy for everyone else.
So tell me about how that leads into how Jersey Champs starts.
Yeah,
That's the first business, right?
Yeah, that was the first one. I was super young. I was probably elementary, and in intermediate school we had that in Jersey, which is weird, 5th and 6th grade.
Okay.
And then middle school, 7th and 8th. So yeah, I just did the typical stuff, sold candy, sold weird things.
Yeah.
And then the first real business was probably Jersey Champs. That's where I did some significant revenue, and that started in college.
That's awesome. And talking about the entrepreneurship at a younger age, selling candy and things, I actually, when I was back in junior high and high school, we would, mainly junior high, we would trade a lot of basketball and football cards. So like every day my goal was to make a couple deals before lunch so I could eat whatever I wanted. Right? And so it's funny. It started with comic books, then it led to that, and then I was going to actually sell that collection. I'm like, I might just hold on to it. And
You still have it?
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's probably worth a ton right now.
Yeah.
Do you have rookie cards?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Bro.
Yeah.
My thing is, because I used to collect Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
And I had the rarest cards, but the condition was so shit because, I mean, we didn't know they'd be worth this much these days.
Yeah. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, so even if I kept it, it'd be worth, nothing crazy.
Yeah, I have a little. It's like I took care of them to an extent, had the sleeves and whatnot. But then once I got old enough to realize and I started my business, I'm like, why don't I just go ahead and put these in a fireproof safe? I think I have 135 Jordans.
Holy crap!
A lot of Shaqs, a lot of that. Yeah,
Dude,
so
well done.
Yeah, thank you.
You got a Jordan rookie?
No Jordan rookie.
Okay,
no.
second year though.
I haven't even looked at them in so long. Now you got me inspired to go
Yeah,
and look.
you got to look into that, man.
Yeah.
Those second year cards, because the rookie ones are worth so much that people started buying the second year.
Yeah, wow. I would love to get it. Not only that, I would love to take my Shaq collection over to Shaq and be like, hey, let's talk about this.
That's definitely possible.
I remember when I got his Team of the Future card that was the hologram one.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so cool. It was just complete luck. So
Nice. I've been watching his podcast, actually, just came out.
doing well.
Yeah, a lot of athletes are starting shows. I love it.
Yeah, I love that some athletes are getting into the podcasting world and what they can do, because I think what'll happen with that, just personal opinion, is they could go in and actually start teaching some of the younger crowd that some lessons that they've learned in the game that they would have done differently, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like before that kind of information was kind of gatekept and they never had a show or platform to talk about it because they were scared of getting in trouble.
Right.
But now it seems like the leagues are more open to these players starting their own media outlets.
All those years of not having it done right, they probably wanting to step up and allow them to not get taken advantage of. At least that's a hope, right?
And it's good because now they won't go broke after they retire, too.
Right.
They got something they could fall back on.
That's what we do every day. We try to talk to different brands and help them build them and try to work those out for them. And so they have other streams of income for when they retire instead of thinking about it. So many of them think about it afterwards.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, what am I going to do for income? They have coaching, right? That's an option. But so.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. I used to see these crazy headlines of athletes blowing all their money, and I'd be like, holy shit, how'd they do that?
Yeah.
And then it happened to me. And I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty easy to blow through some money. You know what I mean?
Well, you get a big chase. Well, it's like Jim Rohn always used to say, you get $1 million, you best become a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have the mindset that works with that, and so it's easy. It's just like lottery winners.
Absolutely.
So moving on from Jersey Champs to your next business venture, what was that transition like, and how did that change?
Yeah, so did Jersey Champs for a few years, and the pandemic happened, which was a crazy time for everyone. And yeah, that was nerve wracking because I was in an apartment, just couldn't leave, and I was like, how can I make some money?
Right.
Started selling PPE. So I learned how to cold email. I learned how to cold call, and learned how to deal with like corporations. Because before I was just dealing with like college kids, selling them jerseys. So this was like a huge change for me, learning how to talk the lingo. I partnered with someone that was kind of like a senior. He was like in his 50s, so he sort of guided me through that process.
Very
And
cool.
in a year, we did $15 million in revenue, all
Amazing.
selling B2B PPE equipment.
Wow, that's amazing. Tell me, how important do you think it is for people, for anybody in business, to learn cold calling and cold emailing, and what that does for you?
It's huge. I would lean more towards cold email. I think that's more effective for me at least. But that's how I get a ton of guests, dude. Gotten a ton of sponsorships. We just got DraftKings. We just got a bunch of big sponsors, all from cold email. We just have someone on our team doing that.
Wow.
And it's like, it's free. I mean, you don't have to spend money. It's
All day
like
long,
the best ROI I've ever seen.
Yeah. Worst thing they can say is no.
Yeah. We were talking out there. That's how I got Grant Cardone on the show. Cold email.
That's amazing. It's just very cool that a lot of the old tactics that people get away from still work. I just read about Nordstrom, about the mistake that they made with direct mail one year. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Nordstrom. They stopped their direct mail for 1 year, messed up a campaign, and they knew the revenue that it costs. So, some of the old school stuff still is very effective because we've gotten away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. Incorporate it with the new stuff. So like when I was doing the PPE, I had Google alerts set up.
Okay.
And every time I saw a hospital or government was running low on PPE, I would get an email. And then I'd have an email database. I was using Zoom Info. There's also Apollo. They're super cheap. And then get their email or number, contact them because I already knew they needed the product, and just facilitate the deal.
That's amazing.
So yeah, these days you could do that with AI. You could set up alerts for when companies or people need something, and you could just be right there.
That's very cool. How did you go from doing the PPE to your next step?
Yeah, after PPE, I think was crypto.
Yeah.
Just looking for investments, park some money, and crypto space is an interesting world, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a conference in Vegas, and all introverts, all nerds. Like I was the extrovert there, and I'm a huge introvert, so I knew that this space was different.
Yeah.
So penetrating that space was challenging.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of gatekeeps their own stuff there.
They got their trade secrets and they don't want to share it with anybody.
Nope. Yeah, they're all super introverted. It's crazy. You should go to a crypto conference and try to talk to people. It's fascinating.
Just for the experience.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'll have to check that out sometime. What made you go from that to doing the digital social hour?
Yeah, so did well in crypto. Had a marketing agency in crypto actually, and I sold it in I think November of 2 years ago, and then felt kind of lost for a few months. Typical story of when people sell companies, and then in January started the podcast and just fell in love with the art of it. And I did it for many reasons, I think, but I had trouble talking to people. Like I said, I was a huge introvert, and I wanted to conquer that fear of public speaking, talking. So if you go back to my first few episodes, they're so cringe because I was just so awkward, but I feel like I've gotten better now.
I love that. That's people ask me all the time. They're like, well, but on camera, I'm like, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
I don't have anything for you. You're not going to feel comfortable until you get out there and you just start going.
Absolutely.
So, what was your biggest way of getting over your fear of some of the things that you've overcome?
Yeah, public speaking, which I still am a little nervous, but it's gotten a lot better. I think I just had that fear because of public school.
Yeah.
Because I hated giving presentations.
Right.
Like if we had to give one in class, I would skip or take a F.
Yeah.
I was that scared of it.
Wow.
So I just had to realize that it was mainly the topic that I didn't care about. Public speaking itself isn't too bad as long as you know what you're doing.
That's good insight, because that's I think of like back when we did salesmanship or whatever I can't remember what the class was called in high school. Same thing. I remember I was sweating.
Nightmares, right?
Yeah. I mean, I remember the podium. I was up there shaking and couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I had to give a few in Spanish class, and I was just failing miserably.
Oh my God.
Like I would know the words, but I would just freeze up on stage.
Right.
But yeah, if I go talk about podcasting, it's easy now.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're an expert, it's all
You
good.
got all the social proof, right?
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. So that's very cool. I think that says that, first of all, for everything. I talk about with if I would have, I'll go back to like my 2 writing courses that I took. The first one was Comp 1, and I crushed it,
Mhm.
right? Because we were allowed to write whatever we wanted. So you were allowed to write about a topic that you like. So like I would do like the protein differences in protein. I was doing doing a lot of research on supplements and Lou Gehrig's disease versus supplements versus the actual prescriptions and all that fun. So it was interesting to me because I was already studying it. And then I went into Comp 2 and I'm like, oh man, wait a minute here. This is you have to write about what they wanted. And it took me 3 times, and the one teacher I just dropped out of that class 3
Damn.
times with him. And so went from like top of the class for the other one to like writing
Dude.
about something that if you don't have a love for it, it's hard to talk about it.
That's how I felt about pre-calc, man.
Yeah.
God damn. I got nightmares about that class. Second most failed class in Rutgers University. And you need to pass that to get into the business school.
Of course, right?
And I couldn't pass. So that's probably the main reason I dropped out, because I couldn't even get in the business school.
Really?
Yeah.
It's, what a blessing now. If you look
Yeah,
back, right? Yeah.
I actually ended up speaking at the business school like a couple years ago.
It
was cool to see that full circle moment.
Yeah. I think about that too. I think I went back probably 7 years later just to get my associates. I was missing one class, and so I figured I might as well finish it because nobody else in my family had at that point. And I'm like, why don't I try that? And I went back and finished it. And I look at my GPA now, and I'm like, and then I went back and got awards and whatnot. And I'm like, I wasn't really that good of a student at the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's different when you're in business a little while and you understand the importance of learning.
Dude, their margins I've been looking into like the statistics behind colleges, and their margins are insane.
Really?
Yeah, they're making like 90%.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because the teachers don't make that much, and
Right.
the students are paying on average, I think it's what, 40K a year now.
Oh my gosh.
So think about that.
So yeah, that's a big margin.
Yeah,
And
they charge you for housing and food.
right. And then they put it on and then they allow the student loan debts to come in. And
Oh yeah, the money they lend out, they're getting for 70 cents on the dollar, and they're lending it out. So
I remember somebody talking about that they got one of their food credits that they paid for with their student loans, and it was the end of the semester, and they still had like $7,000 that they had to spend, and they just lost it.
oh my gosh, that happened to me at Rutgers.
Oh really?
I had like 3,000, and I would go to the store to buy chips, but you can only check out 2 bags at a time. So I had to keep going in and out to spend that money.
Oh my god.
Eventually, I just gave up.
Yeah. You're like, I can only eat so many chips.
Yeah, and the food they give you too. That's a whole nother podcast.
Right.
It's
Oh, really?
terrible. You remember the food there?
I didn't go to. I only went to community
Oh,
college. so,
got
yeah.
it. Okay.
So bad stuff, huh?
Terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, high school lunches, thinking about that now, holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Disgusting.
Well, that's what we should do. Maybe we'll do a To Inspire one on the health and fitness.
Yeah, we might have
talk
to,
about
man.
school foods.
They got to change that.
Yeah. Well, you'd think that if they have that much money, you'd think they could afford to, if they're making 90% margins, you think.
Oh, easily they could.
You'd think they could afford somebody in there who knew what they were doing, right?
And it would help the students if they ate better.
Oh.
They don't realize that.
Yeah. And it usually and a lot of the students don't know that, right?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know that
Yeah.
at the time.
I mean, I look back at what I used to eat, and I know we talked about that the other day, but it's amazing if they maybe a little education on, hey, your energy level would do this. I mean, you see it all the time.
Dude, 100%. I had the worst acne, and I was taught just put cream and lotion and shit on your face, but that doesn't treat it. You got to change what you eat.
Yep. Masking the problem.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
no one ever told me that
Wow.
growing up.
And wow. So you just changed the way you ate, and it cleared.
Well, no, I took Accutane, which cleared it, but that messed me up long term. I
Right.
still have some organ damage from it. So
Oh my god.
yeah, every year I get a blood test, and my liver is kind of fucked up. So
That's crazy. That's and the problem with the liver is, it grows back, but
takes a while.
it takes a
It's
long.
been years since I've been on that.
Wow.
You have to get a blood test every month you're on it to make sure that you're not dying.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. So what sparked you into, like, I know you're an awesome hard worker, and I mean I admire that about you because I like to work hard myself. So how do you tell me a little bit about what your day looks like and how you plan that out?
Yeah, this week is a busy one because we're filming 4 days this week. That's not normal. Normally we film twice a week. So those 2 days I'm dedicated filming probably 9 to 5 because we do 6 to 8 episodes. And on the other 3 days, I'm prepping for the episodes and looking for sponsors, looking for guests, and then studying other podcasts and studying the algorithm.
Okay. Amazing.
So I'm just a student of the game those 3 days of the week.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's why I'm able to execute so well, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your execution and your standard operating procedures are on point, man. I got to give you a lot of
And you could take a lot from different shows. So I watch different genres.
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch the top shows in each genre, and I'll take a little something from that podcast and incorporate it in mine.
That's So smart. That's what kind of suggestions would you have? Let's say somebody wanted to start a podcast and they're new. What kind of suggestions would you have to help them get started?
Yeah, it's so competitive these days. So the way to differentiate yourself is on the short form, in my opinion.
Okay.
So you want to focus on clips because getting views on long form is really difficult unless you have access to huge guests, which most people watching this probably don't. So yeah, you're gonna need to go all in on short form. Have a really good short form editor, and then have on interesting guests.
There you go. That's amazing.
That's the winning formula.
How do you suggest that, or how important do you think it is for somebody in our space right now to have a podcast?
Very.
Yeah.
I would at least do it on the side, maybe once a week, see if you like it. Especially if you're an introvert, you gotta get over that. Conversations are important.
What kind of like business leads come from the fact that you have a podcast?
Tons. I mean, dude, I just got a house and like all my furniture was comped because I've had on so many people now, CEOs of companies, that I was able to get a free mattress, a free couch. I saved like 100 G's. So just that, plus the networking and stuff you learn, and then we got the group chat, which is awesome, of all the previous guests. I hope you could start one too. That'd be dope.
I mean, I love the idea. I think that's a brilliant idea, and I love what I see. And it's just people helping people in there.
Yeah, little mastermind. Masterminds are important.
Yeah,
I'm in 2 other ones too.
I'm glad you brought that up. Talking about masterminds, how important do you think, and how much could we change? I know we spoke about this outside about if we started getting mentors and coaches at an early age.
Oh my gosh, dude! Think about where we'd be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really excited for my kids because they're gonna be coached from straight out the womb, baby.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah. They're gonna be rock stars because I didn't peak till in my 20s, which is early to some, late to some. But in my head, I'm like, wow, I wish I started in like my teenage years.
Well, because once you realize that if you would have done it, then you would have been that much further ahead.
So much farther.
Compounding that knowledge and that learning the game at a young age.
Yeah, because I have the work ethic. So if I just had the right leaders, mentors earlier on, it would have been deadly.
Yeah, that's so important. And it's funny you say that about your kids. I remember I brought my daughter home from the hospital when she was born, and we were taking shifts, and my wife fell asleep, and I was holding Vivian, and I literally put on the Think and Grow Rich series, Napoleon Hill.
Nice.
The one collection
Yeah.
that's his greatest. Yeah, so I pulled it up on it was probably Amazon. I pulled it up. I'm sitting there watching. I'm just making sure she's listening.
I love it, dude.
Holding her.
Dude, so 90% of the brain is formed age 0 to 6.
Yeah.
So that's really good that you're doing that. I'm going to be playing classical music, audiobooks.
Yep.
I'm going to make them learn a language for those ages.
That's
Spanish.
so smart.
Yeah.
We got our little piano, we'll play piano and keep encouraging her to play, just trying to get those things moving.
Yeah, look at the best athletes. They have a basketball in their hand when they're 2.
I love that you say that. I bring her out to our basketball hoop, and she loves playing basketball. She calls it askaball.
Nice.
Yeah, she doesn't say the B right, but she's still out there playing. And
I love it. She's going to be a hooper.
Yeah, that's the goal, man.
Oh, yeah.
I told my wife, and she's like, well, we can't force our daughter to do it. I'm like, we won't force her to do it. We'll just highly encourage it, and we'll see what comes of it. And we'll highly encourage, and maybe she'll get a nicer car, and that's my mindset, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting her on that court.
Hell yeah. By the time she's 20, WNBA might be really big by then, too.
That'd be awesome.
It's starting to see some traction this year.
A little bit, yeah. It's profitability, hopefully, and get the game going really well.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. So what, and hopefully, by the way, that's what we're doing with Motivation Success TV. We want to educate these younger people and try to get something going at a younger age where they can have a free subscription. They can look at this stuff and they can start learning because like I think that being coachable and being out there helping people to learn what you've learned and get in there quicker is so helpful. But I mean, I think one of the things, and I don't know how you feel about this, is trying to figure out how to get them to become motivated. I've spent tons of time to try to get others to get motivated and got a lot of coaching that you just can't do it. So I don't know what you think about how we can motivate the younger youth and how we can get them into business. Any advice on that?
Dude, that's a great question. I'm still trying to figure that out too, because with me, it was so easy. Like, I don't know if it's teachable. Do you think it is?
I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think
you can try, right? I mean, they have to be accepting. They have to want to be taught. They have to want to be motivated, and they have to want to be disciplined, and they have to change their identity and actually make that a habit. And I don't know. I'm not going to quit trying.
Dude, it's tough because I've had employees, and I'm trying to see if I'm just too harsh or they're not motivated. It could be both.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it was never an issue.
Yeah. What do you attribute that to?
Definitely childhood stuff, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I grew up an only child and bouncing friend groups and never really fitting in. So wanting to prove people wrong, that was a big motivation at first. And now it's just competition, I'd say, is
Yeah.
what keeps me motivated.
That's very cool. I tell everybody a well orchestrated chip on your shoulder can get you a long way.
Yeah,
If you use that power for the right thing and you move forward, that's very cool.
absolutely.
So what's next for Sean Kelly?
Podcast, man. We're going to keep climbing the charts. So we're number 1 in our category, but overall we're like 150. So I want to get to maybe top 50 by the end of the year overall.
That's awesome.
And then keep climbing the charts.
Well, congrats on your category. That's
Thank
amazing. You. Yeah. Anything you want to share with our audience and our viewers that we haven't talked about? Anything up and coming?
Nah, just put yourself out there, guys. Go to networking events, listen to shows. It's very easy to get good information these days. So just keep learning every day.
What is the single most important thing? If you could tell yourself something at 20 years old, what would it be? Any piece of advice?
I would say related to college probably since 20s freshman year, right?
Yeah.
So don't act like it's the only route. If you're really thinking about it, there's other routes. I remember there was a lot of pressure for me, like college or you're a loser. So
Yeah.
I hope that narrative changes a little more.
Yeah. Were you playing ball in college as you were doing it? Or
Nah,
so it
I
was
could have
all-
ran track, but no, I didn't do any sports.
Oh, I didn't. You did do track. Huh?
Yeah.
What did you do in track?
800.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was nice at the 800, dude.
I can imagine. Yeah. That's a
Half
distance.
mile, 2 laps.
Yeah, 2 laps. I could never. The 800 was never good for me.
What was yours?
I did the 100. And
Oh,
then,
you were a
like,
sprinter.
Yeah, well, accidentally. I was a pole vaulter, and then I did sprinting because one of the guys dropped out of the 4x1, and finally the coach is like, "Hey, we gotta see who's the fastest."
Yeah.
And pole vaulters genuinely, we work really hard at pole vault, but like we're not trying to like sprint at the other stuff.
Right, right.
And so we had a lot of talent on our teams. That like our top sprinter, he was best in the state. And so he would always come hang out at the pole vault pit and everything.
Wow.
And finally, the coach comes over. He's like, "All right, everybody on the line. We're going to see who's the fastest." I'm like, all right, thinking. I mean, I used to be fast, but sure enough, I won. I'm like, dang it.
What was your time?
Oh, God, I don't even remember.
Yeah, 100's a tough event. It's all muscle, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the best 100-meter sprinter in the world on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah, his time was like 9.8.
Oh, my God.
Crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were fortunate on the 4x1. We had the guy in the state he's the fastest guy, and I mean,
Damn.
Shapert he's all talent, man.
Dude, and those handoffs are important in the relays.
He would win at the end of any race. He could turn it up as much as he
Oh,
wanted.
he was the anchor?
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. Even like he'd do the 100, 200. But we had a 400 meter. He would only run during our tournament, like during the GMCs, which is that's our league, right?
Yeah.
He would only run that during then because he didn't like running the 400.
That's a tough
And
race.
he was, but he was still 10 times better than the 2-time state champ.
What?
Yeah,
This guy's a freak.
So he would beat the state champ every year at our
Oh my God.
league.
That's so disheartening.
Yeah. So
Did he end up going pro?
Oh no, he didn't. He didn't
What?
he didn't go run after that. Huh?
Why?
I don't know. He's got a very successful career.
Oh, okay. Running's tough to make money in.
Yeah.
Like very tough.
Yeah. I mean, the Olympics all the way around, or going to those levels, any of those levels, and making it. I mean, especially coming from Ohio, but
Yeah.
So, well, how can everybody get a hold of you?
Sean Mike Kelly on Instagram's the best, and then Digital Social Hours, the podcast.
Well, I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to come in, use the studio,
Yes,
interview
sir.
you for the magazine. I'm excited about the collaborations that we've got going on in the future, and I just want to say thank you. I appreciate
Awesome.
you.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Boom. Nice.